What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and I'm back with another reaction video. Uh, I've been combing through all the Gamescom live streams and events, checking out the games and events that interest me. And next up is a game that was announced at Opening Night Live, called Project Spectrum. And this is the one that was like a really weird mouthful. Like, Griftly said it was a team-based PvE PvP horror shooter. Like, it was a whole thing. And then the trailer we saw was like really interesting and weird, with not knowing if, like, your sanity, like, it was like the girl turned into the monster, or she was the monster and she thought she was human or something. I don't know. This game is one of those games that you need to explain to you, and hopefully this is what they do here. Hopefully they explain this game in a way that I can understand. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what they're going to say here and show here. So enough of me talking, let's get into it.
Mike.
Let me tell you about Project Spectrum, right? So this was, I think it's fair to say, one of the big surprises of the
Spectrum,
ONL
that's what it was.
show, Opening Night Live. We hadn't heard anything about it previously. It is a horror tactical shooter with asymmetrical multiplayer elements.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
a
built by
lot.
Team Jade, who are a Chinese development team. It's sort of published by Tencent, but I think as sort of debuts go, it was a super memorable, super glossy, super atmospheric kind of horror shooter. So modern kind of combat weapons, like you'd expect from a Call of Duty or similar, but with kind of horrifying enemies and set in this big sort of atmospheric haunted house mansion in the rain. I think it made a big impression. And I actually, as a bit of behind the scenes, the people looking after that from a PR perspective got in touch.
Also, just a heads up, the weird desync is not on my end. That is the stream. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. That's not me. That's the stream itself that did that. That's the video itself. So just know that desync, that's not me.
Touch about a week ago and said, hey, you should really come and look at this. And it feels like the sort of best kept secret
Here we go.
on the show floor. One of the things I love about
Gameplay.
these kind of shows when you meet sort of friends and colleagues within the industry is where you have this sort of like industry scuttlebutt where people are like, have you seen this game? It's super exciting. And I think you can see it on the screen here, this sort of almost like Alan Wake, Silent Hill, sort of misty forest. What it reminds me of is games like Fear. Do you remember Fear as a sort of horror tactical shooter, but crossed with kind of Rainbow Six Siege?
Man, that is a game I haven't thought about in a long time. Fear. Wow. I had not thought about that game in forever.
Style action. So yeah, hugely impressive debut at ONL, bit of buzz around it, and we've actually seen it being played live in front of us. So we haven't had hands-on, but we have seen the developers themselves playing a sort of true asymmetric multiplayer match. So what you can see here is this sort of, these kind of PvE elements, so these apparitions and things like that. So there is a very strong PvE element, but there's also this creature called the Executioner, which I'm sure you'll see later on, which is this sort of, have you seen the game Carrion with its kind of weird motion?
You can make a makeshift silencer with a can. I mean, it's been done before in games. I'm just curious as to, like, in a horror game, why would you need a silencer in a horror game? What?
There's a little bit like the Mimics and Prey as well.
It's got that sort of vibe. So there is a player playing as that executioner creature and stalking you around the thing. But
I think that's the thing we saw in the trailer with the lady, that it was like moving around like it was like a squid thing, and then it attacked the final person. We saw that. I'm pretty sure that's the thing we saw in the trailer.
As you can see, I mean, like,
oh hello, this is spooky as enough.
We've got mannequins.
Not a horror game, so there's a mannequin.
Things falling off the wall. So like these little scripted sequences and stuff. One of the things I think is quite cool is it has a sort of a meter measuring your kind of mental well-being and mental state. And there are a lot of games that kind of do that, and it's almost always just
a sanity meter. I was just talking about that in Silent Hill F, that like not enough games do like a sanity meter thing, or not in the way that like Eternal Darkness did it. And now there's a sanity meter in this one too. Okay.
a negative thing when you're quote-unquote sanity level drops below a certain threshold. But what the developers were telling us when we went to see the game was that actually, in certain circumstances, this sanity system can actually work in your favor. So there are certain characters and classes where having a lower level of sanity will actually make you more effective in combat. So it's a really interesting balance. It's like, how do you want to play it? Do you want to play as one of those people who stays super safe and tries to maintain their sort of, their fear level?
Okay.
Or do you want to like sail close to the wind and really allow it to drop? The problem is as you allow that level to drop, you will be attacked by sort of apparitions. I mean, this stuff's scary enough
For
already.
example. Yeah.
But these sort of shadowy figures will appear in this
okay.
real sort of like, sleep paralysis apparition.
Yeah,
type
that was
vibe.
the exact vibe, yeah.
And they will attack you. They can physically attack you. But what they were saying was that there might be things like shortcuts in the environment that you can't see when you're, when your mental level is kind of hunky-dory. But as you descend more into the kind of madness of what's going on, shortcuts may open themselves up to you and things like that. So I just thought the environments were super slick. The enemy design looked
Interesting.
really, really creepy.
So it's not just like, because when you were saying earlier about classes and how some classes may do better with like less sanity, I was thinking, okay, so it's like, a perk of that class, but the fact that it can also like affect like, shortcuts and maybe items found and stuff like that, that's cool too. That I really dig. It's not just, class specific perks. It's like it's something that can like benefit anybody, you know, up to a certain point. That's cool.
And obviously the asymmetric stuff, which we'll see shortly, is super appealing as well. Obviously, it's got that kind of like co-op shooter vibe. Again, very inspired by things like Rainbow Six Siege, but also the novel Solaris apparently was a big inspiration for that kind of psychological horror, according to the developers of the game.
It's a highfalutin reference.
Yeah, well, I like it, and I think culturally, there's been a big divide, I think, in video games, like West and East divide in terms of developers and things. But obviously, we're seeing a lot more games coming from the West. Black Wukong, obviously,
from the Annihilator's point of view,
from the East to the West.
Yeah.
And so they don't necessarily have the same influences. What we can see here is the Executioner character. It's a real sort of Lovecraftian horror monster. What you'll have noticed in this gameplay is how powerful and fast this creature is, and I did ask them about how it was going to play, because it seemed like this thing was massively overpowered. And what they were saying was actually, to a degree, there's a kind of loadout system with that creature, so you'll build it the way you want to play it as well. But what they were showing us was it in one of its fastest and most aggressive forms, but there are other forms of that will be kind of stealthier and more about stalking the other player characters. So there's going to be variety there. I did ask them if they were ever planning on adding, because that's quite a distinctive character design in terms of the tentacles and things. I did ask them if they were considering other sort of horror-inspired designs, and they said nothing planned yet, but it's obviously something they've thought about as well.
And on the campaign side, did they speak on that?
So what they said was that there are sort of two. You're actually not just playing a single character. You're playing what they described as an operator. So it was difficult to get like full details because they didn't want to talk a lot about that stuff. I guess it's still in development. But what it reminded me of was XCOM. That idea that you recruit your troops and you select which ones you think will operate best in battle, and then you send those agents out. So it's operator is the kind of overarching mode, and agents are the characters that are out in the field. And so you'll be recruiting them. I assume there'll be a sort of budget that needs to be sort of balanced, and you'll send them out into what they describe as these ember zones. So it's this anomalous.
I'm confused because so it's not team-based in the sense of like there's not other, it's just you versus the environment versus the monster. Because like the way they made it sound earlier is that no, it's like you and a team of people, like other actual people going in versus the environment plus that one monster. But now it sounds like no, it's like you make that team. You're just one player. You make that team, and we're against the environment and the monster. So I was like, I'm a little confused here. They've confused me. They've confused me now.
Event has happened and these areas have become sort of off limits to the general public, and you're sending it. It's sort of like Ghostbusters with M16s, basically. And so yeah, you will be playing not just the on the ground stuff, but you will be also, dictating how, as a sort of organization, this stuff is handled. So interesting take on it, definitely. Other stuff they mentioned was there's a crafting system, a kind of quick crafting system. So you'll have seen in the gameplay demo, at one point the character pulls a rag out of a Molotov and wraps it around a shovel to create a sort of flaming shovel.
Okay.
So they want to have that kind of inventive crafting thing, but it's got to be something that you can do on the fly in the middle of a terrifying firefight when you're scared out of your mind.
When you're teetering on the brink
On
of
the brink
edge
of-
of insanity.
Yes.
And again, the desync from the lip desync is on. It's on them. That's not me.
Right, one to watch. Any word on a release date on that one?
No, we asked about that. They said there's still lots of work to do. This is obviously like a sort of what they describe as a vertical slice, so a kind of flavor of what the game will be like. But obviously we were very impressed by how polished it was.
Yeah.
But they said they've got a lot of work to do. They're desperate to get it into the hands of players, and I think
Okay.
they've been really heartened by the response to it at ONL as a sort of debut of their game. So they're very excited. But I think it's a little ways out, but what a strong
All right.
showing.
And that was Project Spectrum.
That was Project Spectrum.
Okay, now next on the agenda.
Yeah, that was cool. That I actually really liked that. But again, like it confused me at the end there, man. They had me, and then it confused me right at the end. Still, it looks good, and I'm glad they actually showed gameplay because the trailer opening night live, like it was just it didn't like it was cool, but it did not explain anything. So I'm glad they put it here and were able to explain better. So now that I understand, well, not really, but I kind of understand what I'm getting into now. All right, so that was a small look at Project Spectrum, which was announced at Opening Night Live. And yeah, man, looks really cool, really interesting. And I was understanding all of it up until the end because, again, in the beginning, he said team-based, and even at Opening Night Live, he said it's a multiplayer, thing, but it's also versus player, PvP. But then, like, the way he made it sound at the end was like, oh no, you're just one guy controlling a bunch of other guys versus the environment versus the other player. And I was like, so there's not a team-based thing around it? There's no other people? It's just you versus... So that's where it kind of lost me. So I'm kind of like not understanding at the moment, but still, it looks cool. It looks promising. Again, he said it himself that it still looks to be a long way out. I mean, they're literally still using the project name. They don't even have a title for the game yet, but still, it is, like they said, one to watch, and I'm interested to learn more. But those are my thoughts. That's my reaction. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment down below. I'd appreciate any and all feedback. Subscribe. I alternate streaming between Twitch and YouTube because I've not figured out multi-streaming. So if you'd like, you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JustAGamerInc, all together one word, where you can click link below. And on YouTube, just hit that notification to know when I go live. But what are your thoughts on Project Spectrum? What have you heard? Do you like what you see? Do you like what you hear? Like, do you understand how this thing is working? That it kind of confused me at the end. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I would love to hear from you guys. But regardless, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care and have a good game.